gentlemen, out of Mound, Minnesota, at 218 pounds, he is the great Gagne.
What's up, everybody? This is Dominic D'Angelo of OneTrueSportTV.com and FourHorsemenNetwork.com. And I'm happy.
Are you sure about that? No.
Right. What a way to start things off.
Yeah, kick it up. Good. You don't even know where you're at, for Christ's sake. We're supposed to get viewers. What a dandy. Show the cat.
Joey, where is he? He's somewhere. He's going to
bring the cat on.
He's staring daggers at me right now. He wants fed. He's hungry.
Everybody talks about the cat.
Everybody talks. He's the most over person on the show here, I think. But hey, we're here with Magnum TA, Greg Gagne. Hey, Magnum, you're the boss. How are you?
I'm doing great. We got a little snow falling here in Charlotte, North Kakalaki, and it's ready for just have a chill weekend here.
Absolutely. Time to take it easy starting off 2025, I think, a little bit. We can't get too stressed out. But we are live. We're live on the FourHorsemenNetwork.com and on OneTrueSportTV.com. Shout out to CB, who says, greeting once again from Scotland, Greg and Magnum and Dom. Thanks for joining us, CB. And Triple E is joining us, too. About time. Just kidding. Yeah, we had a little bit of a late start here today, 4:30 Eastern Standard Time. But feel free to get some questions in. We have a lot of stuff to cover today. Did want to send our best wishes out to the LA people in Los Angeles with the fires and everything like that. Really just seeing some of the imagery and everything. It's awful. Man, I can't even fathom something to that effect. And, to see how quickly all that spread and the destruction it caused. Thankfully, most people are safe, but it's still a sad thing. I could only, Greg, you've grown up in Minnesota and like having that whole estate up there with, Vern's legacy and stuff like that. It's just, it's obviously it's people you care about, but it's like if you were to lose all that stuff, that's almost like a indirect connection to family in a way, and that's got to be upsetting too.
I mean, you see those poor people. It really bugs me when the media comes on. They say, "This celebrity just lost their house or had to evacuate." They make a big deal. It was about the sign and the Hollywood sign, and they're talking about that. And all these poor people that have no insurance, the insurance companies pulled out of there, have lost everything. And you look at the devastation there and what's going to happen to them. And when the media starts out like that, I get so pissed off. I want to shut them off.
That's the thing is I don't even watch it. I saw some of the imagery on Twitter and some social media, but the clips I stay away from because it kind of can frustrate you a lot of the times. But,
the celebrities, they've got the money, most of them, to build back up. These poor other people, what are they going to do? Where are they going to go? Look at all that stuff that's burned down. Where are they going to bury it all?
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry I get off on tangents.
That's okay. It fires me up too. It gets me a little angry as well sometimes. So I do understand. And it's always just best wishes and prayers out to everybody there. So
yes, it is.
Shout out to Maria who just joined us. Mike Hawks Long joined us. So good to see some new folks coming in, and feel free to get some questions in. Ask some questions. We always like to take questions from the audience. You guys get some good ones in a lot of the time. So feel free to chime in. What I did want to start about, wrestling related, was Raw debuting on Netflix. We talked about it a little bit the last week's episode, but we actually saw what happened this week. And the numbers were huge. Apparently it was around 5 million globally, I think it was the final kind of verdict on what Netflix roped in. And they mentioned too that it was the number one show. It beat out Squid Games, which is such a popular show, for the number one spot on Tuesday. So really strong start. Magnum, did you get to watch Raw on Netflix, or what was your thought on it?
I thought
tell the truth.
Well, no.
What you told me.
I thought that they had a lot of things that they had to do for their obligations to the network and the big wigs that were there. That some of it was a little bit of a dog and pony show in the beginning, And the timing just wasn't their normal. Like
Right.
there was some great content from The Rock and from Triple H and the different ones, but there was like there was like a 15 to 20 second always it seemed like delay of something going on that was like a pregnant pause. And
Yeah.
it was like it wasn't flowing like they're capable of doing. I mean, from a production standpoint, of course, it was brilliant, but it wasn't the best flowing show that I've seen them have. Period. And I think it's kind of weird to to go. They jam back down to the 2 hour format, which I'm a fan of because it keeps the pace, keeps it going, keeps it on track, keeps your enthusiasm level up. And I think we get a little more time. I think they get a little bit too much time to think about what they can put in it, and what they can feature, and maybe it makes things a little more, just a touch more long winded than it had to be. But all in all, I mean, it's going to be a great platform, great day for wrestling. Amazing accomplishment for them to be, on this global network now, and I mean, it's going to be good for business at the end of the day once it all settles down.
I agree. Yeah, I think ultimately, in grand scheme of it all, it wasn't. I had some high expectations. I think they hyped it up beautifully. Like they got everybody excited for it. I thought that intro video was amazing that they did with Triple H and everything to that effect. But The Rock kicking it off, and he kind of shook up what we were expecting was storyline wise. He befriended Cody. He praised Roman. That took away a lot of the tension that was kind of set when Rock left initially. And kind of made it almost feel that he might not be doing something at WrestleMania. That's kind of the table I was set. Greg, what was your impressions of that with The Rock?
With The Rock, The Rock's The Rock, and he brought that whole thing together for him.
Sure.
And he's I wish they would have, after he did his opening, I wish they would have gone to the Roman Reigns match.
Okay, yeah. Explain.
I would have saved that for the last. It seemed to me, I mean, they blew everything out right away. And as the show went on, and like TA said, we both thought 3 hours was too long.
Yeah.
The production was phenomenal. I mean, everything else it was great. The matches were great. The talent worked hard. But the continuity of it, I kind of lost the feel for it. And at the end, I felt like the people, they were losing the crowd. They weren't quite, they'd burned them out with everything they had. You throw The Rock out at the beginning, and the Roman Reigns match, which everybody was really tuned in for, and also the Reigns and CM Punk match.
Yeah.
There was a distance in between, and the fill-ins in between. The matches were great, but I felt like they lost the crowd a little bit.
Yeah, Magnum, you make that point
2 hours, 2 hour show to me is,
hopefully that's what they stick with. And I know they don't really have any set time frame, I think, but I think they are with ultimately 2 hours. At least, I'd like to think so. At least,
Yeah.
It's a lot of wrestling in one night.
All in all, I mean, it was the greatest production ever for professional wrestling, and it brought it up. It brought it up to a level now is NFL style.
Yeah.
And their ratings have been, and then I just read today where their CW ratings with NXT was the highest they've ever had.
It was crazy. It was so they've been floating around 700,000, maybe 800,000, but they got boosted up to nearly 1 million because The Rock showed up on Tuesday. And
he's still, he's still that personality that everybody wants to see.
Absolutely, right? He's got, and I think it's kind of I think what they did, is they kind of dispersed a little bit the end of the notion that The Rock will be competing at WrestleMania. But who knows? Who knows? Things could change. They could be pulling a red herring of some sort. I don't know. But I did like the show. The presentation, I will say, too, was great.
The presentation was phenomenal, and the production was phenomenal. Nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
And they did it right. They did it right. And I sent Triple H a little note, and he got back to me and thanked me. I thought it was a fantastic job.
Yeah.
TA and I had a little bit different feeling on the matches themselves and the way it was presented, but that's just the way we think.
Magnum, what was your big takeaway? What was your big match of the night? And then what was maybe if you had any criticisms of regarding certain matches, what were some of them for you?
Well, you're going to laugh, but my big takeaway from the night wasn't either matches. It was John Cena.
Oh, okay.
John Cena put on a master class on why he was the face of that company for so many years.
Yeah, explain.
I don't think there's any better storyteller or getting people vested in what you're doing. And he took what could have been a awkward position to be in and turned it around into a story where you're already rooting for John Cena to go win his place, to go to WrestleMania, to be in the flipping main event.
Yeah.
And he did all that so well that it just, it took me back because it's been years since, he's been in the mainstream, but he hasn't lost a lick. I mean, he's just a very, very talented individual on the mic and good at, reading the people and kind of dictating that orchestra standpoint you have as you're the leader of everybody in that building. And he took them on a ride that was fantastic. I mean, I expected different matches to be great, but I didn't have the expectation for his presence there being as great as I really thought it was. And it was fantastic.
What really stood out to you about it that made it so special for you, you think?
I think it could have been another ho-humish, another guy coming back and almost having I'm back now and I was always the man. I'm going to be the man again. And, all the things that very easy to do when you're given that spotlight. But, he brought everybody into the fact that, he's still John Cena and he's still the guy that never gives up, never quits. And, did more for Make-A-Wish kids in the history of that company than any superstar that ever came down the pike. And, it reignited my appreciation for what he contributed to the business in and out the ring. And I just thought it was cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed him. I think it's always nice to see him back. Greg, what did you think of Cena?
Oh, I thought it was fantastic. I mean, it brought you back to the days of storytelling. And he told his story and he kept the people on edge, not bringing them up, taking them down. And I'm like TA. I mean, that was one of the highlights of, if not the highlight of the program. They brought out these superstars and they brought out Hulk Hogan and he didn't quite get the response I think he was looking for.
We'll talk about that one.
But Cena, he took those people on a ride, an emotional, vocal ride through where he was going and what he wanted to do.
I was saying,
guessing though, but it was fantastic. Guessing. He did a really good job.
I was saying to my buddies in another group chat about how I thought it should have been Cena who led off the show with that promo, because people were expecting him to be there, and if he were to just kind of play rope-a-dope with what he was doing in regards to I don't know how I'm going to feel about this, or if I can actually do it, but I have the Royal Rumble in my pocket. I think because Cena, he kind of has that corporate identity in a certain way. And a lot of people gave him a hard time about it when he was the top guy and they kind of booed him for it. But now you look back and you kind of see him come back and do this and you appreciate it because he put a lot of that on his own shoulders to do that. And so if he was the one to lead off with that and almost be that guy, that ambassador for WWE about, hey, welcome to Netflix. Here, I'm John Cena, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to go to the Royal Rumble. It ties into not only what you're doing from a corporate standpoint, but ties it in to the fans and what the fans want to see here. I think with The Rock, when he came out and cut his promo, it was great to see The Rock. The Rock's such a huge star. He's on the board of directors, so it makes sense. But it also felt like more so what you guys were saying and indirectly about it being more so about dotting your I's and crossing your T's when it comes from the business standpoint of things. Hey, there's the Netflix people way up there. Hey, Netflix guys. And it's just addressing that, and it wasn't more about the fans. I think Cena's promo was a little bit of both, and I thought that would have been a good way to start the show, I think, and kick things off. and kind of get the fans really into it too in a lot of ways too. But I love Cena. I think it's going to be a fun ride. I guess he's doing a pretty full-time schedule like this year when it comes to the work.
He's got the game show. He's got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
He's done well for himself.
He's doing darn well for himself. Yeah. I'm excited. And like, you know what? When you get some meat and potatoes storyline behind John Cena, if you have like him Gunther confront him, or like even you think about somebody like a Ludwig Kaiser, like kneeling him or something like that, you can create a really, really fun story with John Cena. Like there's a lot of great possibilities for this year for him.
You sound like the new Booker.
Hey, let's make it happen. You got Triple H's number. Hook me up.
Yeah.
But
you're gonna hook me up before I hook you up.
Yeah, right. That's it. Priority.
He and I, we'd like to get in there.
Yeah, right.
I'm retired from all this. That's way outside of my capability range.
Oh man, Magnum. Honestly, though, if they got a hold of you and they're like, "Hey, we need your insight. We want you to at least be a consultant, sit in on just once a month. Come on in." Would you do something like that?
I honestly don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Life and priorities has changed drastically for 10, 15 years ago, without a doubt. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But I have too many pivotal things going on at 65 that I'm not like looking down that long road and I got 20, 30 years to accomplish what I want to do. I don't. We're in that fourth quarter team. So yeah, doing one thing would be fun, absolutely. But doing anything that was regular and you had to do, I don't know. I'm not quite that guy anymore, I don't think.
I can understand that because it's like once you're in that wheel, it's hard to get off of that wheel,
Yeah, true that.
Very tough. All right, yeah, Greg, you mentioned it. Lots of interaction and buzz going after Netflix. Somebody who got some buzz was Hulk Hogan. People got a taste, or he got a taste of that American beer, real American beer, and he was there to plug it. He was there to plug Netflix, but the crowd wasn't there to plug him. He got booed pretty good.
Where did he lose him?
Well, I think there's certain factors.
Came through that curtain.
Yeah, right. I think that the crowd, you know what? It might have been a little different story if it was a more red state he was in California. Let's say that, I think.
Oh, 1,000%.
Right?
Had that been Dallas, Texas, or Tampa, Florida, or
anywhere in
Atlanta,
the Midwest.
Georgia. I mean,
yeah.
If that had been anywhere in the South or in a red state, I mean, he was in the most liberal, grounds he could have walked on. And, he's got it's a double-edged sword. I mean, the political tie is huge, and we live in this era that fact checks everything, calls people out. If you say you're sorry for having done something and you don't do it sincere enough to everyone's satisfaction, you're just labeled a hypocrite. So it's a really hard time in the social world to get redemptive audience with people that once were forgiving and loving and kind and the land of second chances.
Yeah.
No, it's not. We're not in that world. We're in the land of burning down cities and bitter people and people that think in another 10 days the whole world's going to come to an end and all that kind of good stuff. It's a different time. So I feel bad for him actually, because I mean obviously he put bricks down in the industry and transcended wrestling way before that was fashionable, and made wrestling a household word all over the globe. Whether you thought his stylization and his representation of that was worthy or not doesn't make any difference. He was bigger than a life superstar, and you got to remember him for the body of work, and not try to get so cynical.
I think part of it, well, it seemed like they were going to make him kind of a big factor. Because if you looked at that intro video, the first painting that was shown was Hogan. Hogan was the first.
He changed wrestling.
Yeah.
I mean, he was so hot in the AWA when he was there, and McMahon grabbed him out from underneath, and he convinced Hulk that Vince was going to take over the world in professional wrestling, and he's done it.
Yeah,
and he did.
He couldn't have done it without Hogan.
Yeah,
and I felt sorry for him when he went out there. And I couldn't believe the reaction that people were giving him.
Man,
it was tough.
Yeah,
I could see when he walked back, when he turned his back and walked out, he was down in the dumps.
If he'd have pulled out his NWO shirt, he could have had a heck of a daggone pop.
That could have really turned the table a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
See, I think my issue, and Hogan's been a part of the WWE ecoscape for the past few years now, but it's very paint by numbers when he goes out there. It's like, hey, brother, I'm plugging this. What you gonna do when this runs wild on you? And it's like everybody's used to it. It's like it's just plug in a plug that you're doing with your catchphrase, and there it is. I think I almost thought after, I know hindsight's 20/20, but after the fact, I was thinking, why would it might have been cool if they eased them in with the backstage segment at first that was kind of storyline based, and then you pushed it out there, and then he could kind of do some of that stuff, but tie it in loosely to like a storyline and kind of give a little meat on those on the bone for it,
If it had some kind of a match going, it was really going the heel's way, and Hogan drove out in the beer truck and
there you go, sprayed him down,
hit him with the hose, with his beer, it'd gone crazy.
That's it, something to that effect, because
creative should have thought of that.
And if you look, though, they kind of did that a little bit with the Undertaker. He came out and he got a great pop for Rhea Ripley after the fact. Came out on the motorcycle, and you know what? He was somebody that really expressed his political viewings and sidings during the election season, and he did not get a negative reception as Hogan did. So it's really interesting, though. Like,
it really was. It surprised me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I felt bad for him.
Yeah, it's like I got to see Hogan last year at Royal Rumble at his bar, his karaoke bar he does and stuff like that. And like he looks great, but like you can tell he's the ring took his toll on him for sure.
We're all aging. We're all aging.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We all think we could get in there and do it yet, but
wait a second.
That's in the past.
That's it.
In the past.
That's it. Well, guys, if you have questions, guys or gals, if you have questions, feel free to get them in. I start a couple already. I'm saving them for the end of the show here. But did want to, I guess I'll tie this one in, though, since this kind of ties to what we're talking about. General Z says, what do you think of WWE showcasing legends for a nostalgia pop instead of showcasing their young talent like Tiffany, Braun, Mello for the Netflix audience? What did you guys think of that? Like Rock's there, Undertaker's there, Cena's there, Hogan's there. You have your legends really highly highlighted on there. But did you think that took away from what they're doing from the modern product, Magnum?
No, not at all. It was the premier kickoff show. They had a lot of things they needed to tie together to make that transition over that they've been talking about forever and ever. And had they not plugged all those pieces in, it'd have been another great show, but it wouldn't have made all the historical landmarks that they wanted to note towards. So, and they didn't take anything away from any of that talent. That talent's going to get more airtime and showtime and opportunity than you can shake a stick at. And I'm sure next week, as far as reviewing the show, we may all think it was 10 times better in terms of a wrestling show with less talk and more action. So
yeah. Greg, do you feel the same way, or do you have a different?
Yeah, I do. I mean, you had to tell. You're going on in a new media that reaches worldwide. So you have to kind of tell the story and show the people that really brought that along, and that's what they did. Whether the outside audience or just tuning in got that storyline and reacted to it, maybe not, but they had to do it that way, and they did a great job of doing it. They brought in the right people. the younger people, they'll get their due down the line here.
Yeah. And I think, it's hard to walk that balance. And I think you had to answer to a lot of hats on Monday. And I think doing that, it does come into play. But it's going to be interesting. I'm pretty excited still to see what they do on Monday, because that'll be more of a presentation of what we're going to get on a week-to-week basis. So, I think that'll be good stuff. Greg, before I forget, geez, we didn't cover this, but your gal Tiffany, she's the new WWE Women's Champion. She cashed in and took out Nia Jax, our women's wrestler of 2024.
I'll tell you what, that Nia Jax had such a phenomenal match that night. It was unbelievable. To me, it was the best match of the night.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Those girls worked so hard, and she made everybody in that thing. And when Tiffany came in, I sent Tiffany a little note, and she sent me a nice remark back. I was proud of her, and she said, "I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you," which was nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
And she did a great job. I told her, I sent back a little note the other day, be careful now. Don't get too cocky, and watch out for Becky and Charlotte. They're coming back.
That's going to be very exciting stuff.
Yeah.
I'm pretty pumped.
No, I was really happy for her. She did a great job. Like I say, that match. TA, did you watch that match?
Oh yeah, I watched the match, and it couldn't have been, to me, it couldn't have been any better. It was, because if you're going to change the title like that, I mean, you got the way they did it. You got to make that champion, make them during that match, and they hands down, made Nia Jax the formidable champion that she is, and you paint that picture that without that, cashing in on that opportunity at the most inappropriate of times for the champ, nobody would have unseated her, because she was just the unstoppable force.
I mean, she really was.
So they told the story well, and it couldn't have been any better. And I think when you look back in the history of women's wrestling, I don't know that anybody has ever come on a scene as quickly and made as big of an impact repetitively from their first time from NXT to her first time in watching her come through come on that show on the WWE's main show, and watching her at the pay-per-view overseas, everybody saying it's Tiffany time. I mean, she just got all the right things at the right time, and honestly, well deserved. I mean, totally capable of doing so much more than so many other superstars that have been pushed before they were ready. And she, I don't see any niches in her armor. She's just going to get better and better. And she carries the persona so well. Greg will say, well, that's just who she is. Well, it's a magnification.
You hit it on the head.
But if she wasn't the gifted athlete to go with that, it wouldn't all make sense. But her and Charlotte Flair will probably set the stage and have the best women's match in the history of wrestling.
I was watching, her doing that moonsault that she does, it's just like seamless.
Who else did that night?
Was it you, Greg?
The man, Jacob Fatu.
Yeah.
By the next night. That he had ballet slippers. He can do it anytime he wants to.
I tell you what, Fatu is going to be big time. Big.
That's that. He's going to be their next big superstar.
Yes, absolutely.
Not that he isn't already, but
Magnum, I think you make a great point about Tiffany. She is like the rise for a women's wrestler. I think that it is the quickest I think I've seen, and like rightfully earned. It's just like she's got the athleticism, the personality, the looks, the gimmick with the obviously she doesn't have the briefcase anymore, but even it was all glammed up as a purse and stuff like that. It was just really well done stuff, and she knows who she is. And so it's pretty cool to see her get that title already, I think.
It goes back to training.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. she learned from the best. So, boy, yeah, but really cool stuff. Fatu's great too. But yeah, we got a couple questions in here. One is a super chat, Instagram a wrestling historian. We're going to pivot just a little bit. Thank you for the $5. He says, Mr. Gagne, is it true that your dad made Pat O'Connor the first AWA champion without telling him? If so, why? Do you know anything about that, Greg?
I don't remember that at all. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, I didn't know he made Pat the champion.
Yeah. Okay.
What year was that?
Let's take a look here. I'll do a little Googling and see what happened. Because Pat O'Connor.
Pat and my father wrestled tag team together a lot, and had some matches. I got some stuff on that. But yeah, I knew that Pat won the NWA title.
Yeah.
But I don't think he ever held the AWA title.
So let's see here. Named Connor. So okay, there it was. In May of 1960, while still the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, the American Wrestling Association named O'Connor as their first holder of the AWA World Heavyweight Championship when they seceded from the NWA. So therefore, he held both the AWA and NWA World Heavyweight Championships simultaneously. This is all according to Wikipedia. However, he never defended the AWA World Heavyweight Championship. So there you go. And was stripped of it in August after 90 days when Verne was recognized as the new champion. O'Connor never appeared in an AWA event during, prior, or to this period. Naming the current NWA champion as its champion, then ordering to defend his new title against the number one contender was a way of legitimizing the AWA's claim that its champion was the true world champion by showing a lineage to the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Oh, that's interesting. So he never had a title match.
I didn't think they ever did.
Yeah.
They may have later on, but not in those early years.
Not right off the bat. But that was clever on Verne's part to do that, if that was his intent, you know. So interesting. Wow. All ties together, pro wrestling. How about that? Wanted to touch upon, what was the other thing? Oh, yes. Unfortunate passing that just got announced yesterday. Black Bart. He passed away after a long battle with cancer. I know he very influential. A lot of people love Black Bart. I know he really was a big influence for John Bradshaw Layfield. He gave a wonderful speech at the Cauliflower Alley reunion this year on behalf of Black Bart. So it was really nice, but very sad to hear that. Magnum, do you have any memories of Black Bart or any interactions with him?
Yeah, I got to work with him when I first came into the Crockett territory back in '85, and big, rough, rugged, typical Texan type guy. Played the cowboy bad guy, and was just a joy to be in the ring with. I mean, could move. I mean, he was basically a middle of the card performer as far as where they had him stationed on the card, but he certainly had the chops to be in there in the main event with anybody. He was an awesome performer.
Oh, yeah. Greg, did you have an interaction with Black Bart?
Never had any reaction with him. I knew of him, and the talent he had. People had talked about him quite a bit, but never had the opportunity to really be around him much, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But, our prayers go out to him and to his family. It's a big loss. It's a big loss for the wrestling world.
Absolutely. You want to always see somebody, get their just and props. And JBL did a really good job at honoring him and making his legacy carry on too. So rest in peace to Black Bart for sure. Wanted to get your guys' thoughts on another talent. News broke today that Nick Nemeth has re-signed with TNA, and formerly known as Dolph Ziggler in WWE, and was there for nearly 20 years, but has been the TNA's world champion in this new era coming for TNA, with a lot of buzz going around the company and things like that. Obviously, Tessa being back in the mix too. But Magnum, wanted to get your opinion on the value you see in Nick Nemeth, and what you like about him and what stands out to him for you.
I think he's I think the brand is turned a corner. And I think Nick and this little girl Tessa Blanchard, are it got more eyes on what they're doing than what's happened in a really long time. If you go watch their clips and see the views and how many people have watched. Both of them are creating a huge buzz, and it's nothing for them to shoot some angle, and all of a sudden 900,000 people have watched it. And so I'm really interested to see the journey that whole organization is going on, for selfish reasons and because I've said it for a long time. If they had the platform and 1/4 the budget that the AEW has been afforded because of the billionaire backing, nobody would touch them.
Yeah,
because they have a bell time to bell time product that is arguably, as good as anything back in the day. They do really good work.
yeah. Oh my gosh, I think that you hit it nail on the head too. If they had the backing that AEW did and everything like that, they are such a buttoned up, cohesive company. Like even a couple of years back when I was covering them for WrestleZone, watching them on a week-to-week basis, it was compelling storytelling, consistent storytelling, thoughts on the little details. And so they do everything the right way. And so the fact that they've been able to chug along at the pace they're doing and then kind of elevate right now with some of their signings from Namath to Tessa to the Hardys being your tag team champions too on top of that, it really speaks to what they're doing as a promotion right now. Greg, what are your thoughts on Nick Namath? Do you have any?
Well, I think he's in there and as not only a talent but someone to bounce ideas off of and creative. And you go back, and I always go back to it, and everybody says I'm crazy, but you go back to that old school mentality of the storytelling, and they do more of that than AEW sure does. And sometimes they're better at it than WWE is at.
Yeah.
And that's, the storytelling and getting those people emotionally involved in the personalities. That's the secret for this business working. And the people that do it the best are going to be the most successful. And like TA said, to me, I still can't get TNA on TV.
Yeah,
where I'm at, and it drives me nuts because I'd really like to watch them because I've heard all the good things about what they're doing. And I hear a lot of it from TA. That's the only way I can get it from.
TNA Plus.
TNA Plus is the way to do it there, Greg.
Yeah, TNA Plus, but I've tried to get on it. I can't get it here.
Do it on your computer.
Yeah.
Go TNA Plus and get signed up, and you can.
On my computer is where I got the Vice story, TA story.
Oh, there you go. See, so you can watch that.
Tell you what, TA, I never saw that before. And I
really?
called you.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, never did.
When did you watch it?
Laura and I watched it on her computer. Then a friend of mine called and he said, "Hey, Vice is running the Magnum story." And I said, "Well, I've never seen it," and I couldn't get Vice. I couldn't get it on my TV.
Oh,
I couldn't even. I tried to buy it and everything else. And Laura said, "Well, let me try my computer." Well, we sat here, and it was an emotional ride.
man.
Had us both in tears.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got to catch up on all of them. I have to catch it. I'm so far behind on all of them. I've only seen a few.
TA and I only crossed paths, a couple times, TA? Chicago?
Yeah, in Chicago.
That was about it, wasn't it? And I'd heard all these great things about him, but never had the chance. And I watched this match that night, and, we never really got together or talked much.
Yeah.
And when we started Power Town, I needed somebody that really had the same vision that I had and could talk to business and talk to the people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I called TA to get him on board, I started listening to him. I said, "My God, this is the guy I want to be a partner with us."
Yeah.
And I convinced Steve Rosenthal and I brought TA in, but he's got it, we think a lot alike. And yet different in some areas, which makes it good to be working together that way.
That's it.
And we have a good relationship.
Good balance. You guys are an ultimate tag team. I'm happy to help cultivate that a little bit in the way, So for sure.
I tell you, watching that program, TA, I had heard about it, but never really saw it. And to battle through that the way you did, there's not too many that would still be here today.
Man, yeah. I'm
You're
gonna have to tune in. I got a lot of catching up to do. I think the only ones I've watched was Bruiser Brody, and maybe like some of the first season of Dark Side.
You haven't watched the TA one?
I have not watched it.
Well, you watch it.
Okay.
And next week we'll do a little more talk about it.
Yeah.
Set it up.
Yeah.
Or call me. I
Okay.
guarantee you. It's very, very, very emotional.
I know. I believe it. It's going to be a tough one, I think.
You know TA the way you do. It's going to be a ride, buddy.
Yeah.
It's a ride every week with you guys.
I know, right? It really is.
Good one or a bad? It's just a ride.
Right. It's a ride, all right. It's a ride.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, we got a lot of good questions here. I might have to save some of these for next week, to be honest, because there's some good ones here.
Tell those people to get all their friends to start watching.
Yeah, guys, what a great way to plug stuff. Hey, so guys, if you're tuning in, you like what you're seeing, whether it's on OneTrueSportTV.com or FourHorsemanNetwork.com, be sure to like, subscribe, share, get the word out. We also have an audio component, so if you want to tune into it, type in Four Horseman Network on your podcast feed of choice. This will pop up and the Orange Show will pop up. It's on the same feed, so you get those episodes. I just uploaded last week's episode and the latest Arn episode up today. So go and check those out right now. Give us 5 stars. Help us get the word out about this show a little bit more. Because, I mean, I was telling Greg off air here before Magnum even joined that something special about this show is we got 2 legends here talking about the modern product of the business. And you don't get that too much. And so I think that's what makes this unique. Plus, we get their perspectives on their history. So really good stuff.
Is Courtney bugging you up there, TA?
Nah.
Well, say hello to her for me.
Say hi to everybody for us.
Or is that the kids?
But guys, you can feel free to give us a 5-star review.
There
Hey,
she is.
Going?
Courtney,
What's
love you.
happening?
Hey, Greg.
How are you, hon?
Good.
Thanks for those little notes you send me.
Thank you for the little notes you sent me.
How about
Yeah.
that?
Well, we appreciate it. You're
No,
up there. There's a tag team right
I
there.
appreciate your friendship. I appreciate your prayers. God's working, and I'm getting better.
Well,
Good to hear.
I hope you are.
Thank you,
Praying a
Greg.
lot for you, hon, okay?
Pray a lot for you as well.
All right.
Awesome. I'll keep you guys in my
there
prayers
you go.
too.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
You're looking
Bye-bye.
great too, hon. Bye-bye.
Heck yeah. That's nice. That's awesome.
That's family.
Yeah. That's how you do it here, guys.
That's what this show is about.
That's it. Bringing folks together and, just getting some good stories in here too. Let's see. Oh my gosh. I got to start all these questions here. All right. Let's see. Any memories here? GT, any memories of superstar Billy Graham? He was in the AWA in the 70s and in Mid-Atlantic in 1985. Greg, let's start with you. Any good memories of Billy Graham?
Oh man, when he came into the AWA, he set the thing on fire.
Yeah.
He wasn't that great in the ring, but he could talk and he had the body and everybody worked around him and he drew so much money in the AWA.
I believe
he was, and it was a great personality. I mean, just talking to him, I was pretty young at the time, but God Almighty, he was something else. Tell you what you need to take and get on the weights and get some weight on there, kid.
Boy, you want to talk about somebody that
I didn't get in on any of that, obviously.
Yeah,
got into the weights, but not the.
But you think about everybody that he influenced, from pro wrestling to boxing to like so many names that he left an impact on. We talk about Hogan. There would be no Hulk Hogan without
Jesse Ventura.
Jesse Ventura,
They all tried to emulate him. Hogan probably came the closest, but there was nobody like Billy.
No, absolutely.
He was secure.
I think Dusty got a little his stylization from.
Absolutely, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Did you have any good stories, memories of Superstar Magnum?
I was a huge fan. I remember when I was going to Old Dominion University. I used to have a like an old style pharmacy across the street that have all the magazines in there. And I remember seeing him on the cover of those Pro Wrestling Illustrated, and when he was in Madison Square Garden, just thinking, this guy's got the best physique I've ever seen in my life. And I went on, watched him in the World's Strongest Man competition when he competed in that, and so I was a huge fan. And then to everybody's point, 1986, he comes to Charlotte, and he was part of Paul Jones's army, and I got to work with Billy a couple of times in the ring, not too often, because I was mostly embroidered in some kind of huge feud with somebody. But he was just such a professional, and I've actually still got a piece of his workout equipment here that I bought from him back when he was in Charlotte. He had a custom-made lat pull-down machine that my son is refurbishing and putting back together in my garage right now.
Really?
And I've got a push-down bar that goes with it. It's got Superstar in the brass handle. Got his name etched in it. So, yeah, he is a special guy, bigger than life. Again, Hogan would have never come up with that whole shtick if he hadn't admired, a guy with a physique like that being able to be bigger than life, come to the ring. Because honestly, he was just ahead of his time.
Yeah.
Had he come along 10 years later, he would have been, oh my, wow. You wouldn't even have, I don't believe you'd ever heard Hulk Hogan's name ever. If Billy had come along 10 years later with that physique and that ability to talk.
Yeah, he had it.
It would have changed the world.
That's a great point, Magnum. You think about if he was just like 10 years, like in the late 80s or something like that, or he would have really sent some shockwaves throughout the things. Like, man, some fun stuff that could have been happening. That's why people like fancy.
Great interviewer too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I even liked him when he did the kung fu gimmick when he left and they had the mustache and then just the G pants. It was just a switch up. I like that. I like that Billy Graham too. So.
But didn't he disappear for a while and say he went out in the desert, disappeared because he wanted to disappear from the IRS and faked his own death.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah,
and disappeared off the planet and resurfaced. And seriously, I think that's when he did the reinventing of the karate gimmick and the whole deal.
I love it. I have his biography here somewhere. I have so many books I have to read, so many books to read, so many shows to watch, all wrestling related. So he's on my list too. So good stuff. Oh, I love Superstar. All right, we'll do a couple more questions and I'll save the rest for next week. Let's see here. Here's a good one, and you guys can both give your insight on this one. Fernando Zayas says, question for both Magnum and Greg. Was Tully Blanchard just as good as Ric Flair in the ring? Magnum, we'll start with you since you have a tie to both.
Two different styles, completely. Tully was so active and so intense and so fast-paced that it was like comparing a Ferrari to a high-zoot Corvette or something back in the day. They both delivered performance, but delivered it differently. Flair had to develop that methodical style because he was the 60-minute man. That era that he carried that title and the number of hour matches that he's gotten. I don't know that there's anybody in the history of the business that's done as many hours as Rick.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, because he literally everywhere he went. It's so ironic. We push this guy to be the greatest in the business, and once you become the champion, you can't beat anybody. All you can do is go the hours, so you don't diminish, the territorial champions and all the places that you go to help draw that money. So it was almost like not a kiss of death, but it was a little bad mojo in that whole deal, because I honestly would not have envied the world championship that I was afforded the opportunity that I had in my sights was a different era.
Yeah.
Because the Crockett's now owned what took place, and they didn't care about the opinions of the rest of the world, and they definitely didn't care about booking their champion all over the world to go to New Zealand and all these crazy places to work because they had so much business going on here.
Yeah.
So Rick was just a different breed, unlike anything the world's ever seen, and a tremendous athlete, along with those skill sets to go on the mic and have an interview that was really second to none. If you go back and look at all his work from when I started watching him in the 70s and through the 80s and the 90s, he just continued to evolve, and his mic work never got stale. So you can critique him a little bit for having things that he was recognized for doing in the ring repetitively over the years. If you'd watched a Ric Flair match, I know Ole used to like browbeat the crap out of him over that he was a routine wrestler. Well, he did what worked.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the days of the internet, and you could go out there and do certain things that just worked because you were doing them thousands of miles apart from each other. Nobody was comparing notes the next day. But I wouldn't wanted that unenviable task of having to do the hour, repetitively over and over and over again. You got to be a special kind of person to do that,
Right.
repetitively. I think any of us that were worth our chops could do it here and there, but to do it if you were asked 7 days a week, ooh, that's a different kind of cat there.
That is.
Yeah. Yes, very much so. Wow. Yeah. Do you kind of agree with Magnum too, Greg, about what you saw from Tully and what you saw from Rick? They're kind of just two different.
Well, I had a match with Tully when he was first starting.
Really?
Yeah, we went down. My dad took me down to San Antonio. Joe Blanchard was a good friend of his, and they always go hunting and do stuff together. And we came down there, and I forget what kind of trip we were going on, a fishing trip or something. And Tully was just starting. So Joe told me to bring my stuff down, and I had 2 nights I worked with Tully.
Whoa.
And, right away you can tell, coming from the background, it was natural.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even when he's just starting, the timing is everything in a match, when to do it, not to do it. And that was like, he got that right away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But unfortunately, I didn't get to work with him, down the road. He came in for a match in Minneapolis, a tag match that he was involved with, had a phenomenal match. And, he was just good. And I mean, grew up in it, loved it, knew how to work it. And, there aren't too many better than that.
I know, right? Man, yeah.
Sure. Going back to the NWA title, with all those hour draws they had to do, with the Crockett's, once they took over that territory and took over basically how they were going to do it with the NWA, that was really a better idea for them. Vern, we hardly ever did an hour draw.
Oh,
once
I bet, yeah.
Well, but he wanted that title, and the champion to mean something, whether they were a heel or a baby face, to get that match over that way, and we had some great champions over the years, and Bachwinkle was probably one of the better heel ones that we had.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but anyhow, it's just philosophies and different. And like he said, that hour draw every night, and he's still going.
It's crazy.
He's still giving
still partying
on his arm. I think he said he's hit that 10,000 mark already. So good for him.
Beat out Wilt to Stilt there.
Yeah.
So,
and Tully Blanchard, phenomenal talent.
Absolutely. And I saw Flair said he still wants to have one last match. You can't keep him down. That's it.
It's tough.
Tough stuff. All right. Well, this was a fun one. I screenshotted some of your guys' other comments and questions, so we'll get to those next week. So, yeah, next week, the plan will be to do a mailbag of sorts. We haven't done a mailbag on here, so that's an ad.
Yeah, if you got that many people asking questions, let's answer them all next week.
We will answer them all, and feel free to get some questions in. Be sure to tag me or at Dominic D'Angelo. And
you taking off there, TA?
Well, I don't have a cat. I've got this little puppy here that.
Oh, he's got the puppy.
I thought it was Courtney back there, and you.
No, it's my.
The pooches weren't ready for him to go. I know. I got to feed Razor here in a second too. So. But
my 100-pound lap dog.
Holy smokes, 100 pounds! My goodness. What's his name there, Magnum?
Diesel.
Oh, I like it, Big Daddy. Cool. What the hell, I like it. All right, guys. If you like,
be sure you look for the Power Town too.
Yeah. Is there any updates you want to give? Anything, or just keep your eyes peeled?
Let's watch this real quick.
Keep the eyes peeled.
Ooh.
Oh, look
Whoa.
at that. Uh-oh.
What was that there?
What was that?
What was that? You know what your guy is going to have to do?
Tune in next week, and maybe we can get more out of TA.
Yeah, go to powertown.wrestling.com, scan that QR code that I'm pointing at, and you will go right there, and be sure to bookmark it. Bookmark it, keep your eyes peeled. More to come. If you like what you're seeing here, be sure to follow Greg at Gagne.Greg on Instagram. You can follow Magnum on Instagram at Magnum_TA. You can follow me on Instagram too at Dom.D'Angelo, and give a shout out to our One True Sport as well. That's at 1TS, 1T Sport. You can check us out. But also, you want some merch staying warm. It's cold out. It's these winter weather's going down. We got it gets a little chaotic from time to time. You can look like a badass with this Magnum TA zip up hoodie. You can get it now at 1tsport.com. Scan that QR code. Should take you right to it. You can get the Magnum TA mug too. Also, you can fly high like Mr. Greg Gagne and have that high flyer hoodie in black or in dark blue. You can go to 1tsport.com and check out his collection as well. There's plenty of good merchandise with Greg and Magnum there, and much more that you can check out as well too. More announcements coming that way too in regards to merchandise. So other than that, that's do it, guys. This has been a fun Friday. We'll pick it back up next week. And thank you both for tuning in again.
See you on Netflix. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe see you guys on Netflix. That'd be fun. All right, guys. We'll see you next time here on Straight Talk with the Boss, Magnum TA and Greg Gagne.